Hey everybody, and welcome back to the MindCatcher's channel. Today we're going to be using the Modern Renaissance palette again. Just going to use the pinks a little bit this time. I'm going to start off with my e.l.f. eyeshadow primer. I'm going to prime my lids. You need to prime your lids, especially if you have oily skin, oily lids. It's going to help that eyeshadow stay on a little bit longer. Next, I'm going to be using the LA Girl Pro Concealer. This is in the shade Toast. I'm going to use this as a base. A lot of people ask me, what is the difference between a base and a primer? There are some people who can get away with just a primer. There are some people who can get away with just a base and no primer. For me, I do have oily skin. I do have oily lids. I do have hooded lids, meaning that the flap of skin kind of hangs over almost to my lash line. So eyeshadows do move and they do crease. So that's why I apply a primer. Now, as far as a base is concerned, I just do it so that all of the pretty colors that I put up on my lid really show up. The next thing I'm going to do is apply Raw Sienna. That's this brown here. I'm just going to put that all over the lid. Anytime you put down the cream, you want to set it with a powder. So I'm just using the eyeshadow to set that cream I put up there. It's also going to help out all the other shadows to blend nice and evenly. I'm going to start working on my outer corner first. So we're going to use Antique Bronze. I'm going to mix these two, Antique Bronze and Love Letter. I want the outside to be kind of smoky, kind of pinkish. Let's see what we do here. So I'm dipping into Antique Bronze, I'm dipping into Love Letter, and I'm working it in the outer corner. So now that we have that down, you saw I actually pulled it into like my transition area, my crease area. I'm using a Delium Tools 776 brush. So what I want to do now is go into Love Letter and really define the outer corner with Love Letter. You see how pigmented Love Letter is. Now with Love Letter, I'm not really bringing it all the way in like I did with Antique Bronze and Love Letter mixed. With the Love Letter, I'm really defining the outer crease with it. In this palette, there's a color called Golden Ochre right there. It's a matte shade. I really love it for the brow bone highlight, so that's what I'm going to use. And you can pick out whatever shade in the palette you think works best with your skin tone, or you can go outside of the palette for your brow bone. You can even use your face powder sometime if you don't, if you can't decide on a brow bone shade to use. And when I put a color up in my brow bone area and it looks kind of like, wow, I always go back into my transition area. I'm using a MAC 224. My paint started to chip off. And I'm going back into Antique Bronze, just a tap of that, and kind of bring Antique Bronze up there. Kind of mix with it right in the transition area. Kind of blends things. Then you're going to go back into your crease area and just blend everything down. Another color I want to introduce is Cypress Umber. That's the deepest shade there. Right there. I'm going to start working that into the outer corner and crease. We're going to keep it low at first, then we're going to kind of blend upward. Okay, this is a Luxie 229 brush, a tapered blending brush. We blend it. Now we're going into the shade Vermeer, and that is a shimmery pinky shade. I'm going to apply that on the mobile lid. This is a Sigma eye shading brush E55. Sigma has had some awesome sales this week, so you guys check them out. These are the longest lasting brushes I own. None of them fell apart like my MAC brush. None of them chipped. None of the bristles came out. And I've had this particular set over 4 years. So we're just curving that eyeshadow with the ball of the eye. And sometimes I pat it on. Sometimes I swipe it on. whatever works. Now, the same brush I use with the Antique Bronze, that's what I go around it with. That was my MAC 224. I pick up just a tiny bit of Antique Bronze on there. I even tap it off on my hand sometimes and go around. You're just basically doing that to blend. All right, my friends, as far as I'm concerned, we're done with the top of the eye. So I'm just cleaning up a little bit. I'm going to apply a little bit of wing liner. For my wing liner, I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever Aqua XL. These are paints, color paints. They come in about 15 shades, I believe. I'm going to do a quick review of them, but I'll show you guys the swatches right here. So as you can see, it's lots of different colors. It squeezes out just like a lip gloss or something. I'm going to put it right here on the back of my hand. They are waterproof, they are smudge proof, and I'm going to use this as a liner today, a wing liner. They come in so many shades. You can use them as eyeshadows, bases, or liners. And people have been using them for art as well. So I'm going to use an e.l.f. eyeliner brush, and we're going to try it out. And I want to say right now, I'm really digging this e.l.f. brush. This is nice. And sometimes I start in the beginning of the eye right here in the inner corner. Sometimes I start at the wing. I think it's a lot easier for people to start at the wing part. Okay, that's what that first eye is looking like. And it is, this brush is awesome. Super sharp. The black is very black. I really like this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye and I'll be right back. The lashes I'm using today are from Ardell. They're the natural lashes, and these are in 110 black, and they look so realistic. I also been liking the Duo eyelash adhesive in dark, and I just line my eye with it. I look down into my mirror and I basically just put a little bit of glue, just like I'm putting on eyeliner, and it really helps me out. And I think it'll help out other hooded eye people if you're having problems putting on your lashes. And I put a little bit on the lash itself, make sure I get the corners. And by the time I do this, the lash adhesive on my eye already is getting sticky. So it's like they pop right on and they stay put. I really like it. And like I said, these lashes look so natural. I look down and I basically try and tuck the lash underneath that skin right there at the lash line. I'm tucking it. I use my fingers to place them, then I use some tweezers to kind of tuck it under. And they are on. So with the dustiness of the eyelash itself, I just use mascara of my choice. Usually I don't go over lashes with mascara, but because these are so natural, so like thin and light, I like to put a little bit of mascara over them. So what am I going to use? I'm going to go ahead and use the Lash Paradise mascara from L'Oreal. I've heard great things. I took pictures of it. I'm going to put a few pictures here so you guys can see it up close. This is my first time actually using it on my lashes, so let's see. You see, I think when you have a very natural lash on, it's super thin and natural looking, you can put a mascara over it just to kind of pop the lashes a little more. So I'm glad I played around with that today and these natural lashes. Sometimes you gotta play in your makeup and see what you like. So let's move on to our face. So we're gonna start with the face. I'm gonna be using my Becca primer. I already put on lotion. You need to put on your moisturizer. I did that before I started anything. So just going into primer. I'm applying this all over those really oily spots. That's my T-zone. Here's another primer. This is from Pure Cosmetics. It's their No Filter Blurring Photography Primer. I'm just going to put that under the eye area. Just tap it, because that area actually gets a little dry. So I don't want to put the Becca under my eyes. And maybe it'll help illuminate that area. The next thing I'm going to do is use some of my Anastasia Beverly Hills. This one right here. This is, I believe this is called Coral. This is their cream contour kit. And I just use it to cover up my discolorations, all those dark spots. I use like the orange from LA Girl Pro Concealer or either this one. Only difference with this one, it needs to be warmed up with your fingers because this palette gets kind of dry. So if I know I'm going to be using it, I'll sit it out close to a window or something, or just use my finger to warm up the product so it can be a little creamier. For my foundation, I'm using The Ordinary. This is their coverage foundation. They have two different foundations. This one is the full coverage one. This is in 3.2N, and the N stands for neutral. Okay, I'm putting some on my hand and applying it. This stuff, guys, proved to be a winner. Over the weekend, or over last weekend rather, when I went to the Urban Decay launch party, I used this with the Becca primer. Remember I said in my initial first look video or first impressions video, I said never settle on a primer, try different primers to see what's going to happen. It was very humid outside, it was hot, the party was pretty much outside the entire time. It was hot, I was sweating and everything, but my face did not move. Everything stayed put. This foundation has withstood the test, so I can honestly tell you, get it. For the price, $6.90 in the States, get it, okay? Don't fool around with it. When it gets back on the site, buy it, please. I don't get anything from it. I do not have a discount code, anything like that, but I will be purchasing me some, so I'm letting you guys know it's worth every penny. To go around the perimeter of my face and to do a little bit of contouring, I use shade 3.3. This is the last shade. This is the darkest shade, okay? So I use that one in The Ordinary, and this is also the coverage foundation. Alright guys, I'm going to use a little bit of my Sacha Buttercup powder to set under the eye, and I'm using a Sigma, what is this? This is the Sigma F35 brush. I'm just using a little bit of powder to brighten up under the eye. I didn't do any highlights or anything like that, so I'm using the powder. As a setting powder, I'm going to be using the Soft Focus setting powder. This is in Milk Chocolate. That's what it looks like. This is from Black Radiance. I'm using the Black Up Cosmetics. This is their contouring powder. I'm using this in 04, the deep shade there, just to go around the perimeter of my face. As a highlight, I'm using one from Milani. This is their Strobe Light. This is in Day Glow number 2. I'm just going to use a Sigma fan brush. This is F42. I'm going to use this Prestige Cosmetics. This is their Velvety Smoky Eye Pencil. And I think I used it in my last Get Ready With Me tutorial. It's waterproof. And I'm going to work on that bottom lash line. I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer. I've talked about this in a lash tutorial before. Love this. If you wear falsies and you want your bottom lash line to pop, use this. It's going to make those bottom lashes white first, and then you just apply your mascara over it. And we have lashes, honey. For my lips, I'm going to be using Pitch Lip Liner. This is from ColourPop. Really like this dark brown, but I've made a few mistakes with it. You really got to blend it. On top of that, I'm going to be using Snob by MAC. The snob is looking at me like, girl, it's been a long time. I have not touched this lipstick in like forever. And then on top of that, I'm going to use one of the lip toppers by Becca. I said I was going to give it a chance. If you haven't watched my video where I swatched all of these and the highlighters slash eyelighters that they have, please watch that video. I'm going to link it down below. I was kind of on the fence about these. We're going to try it out. This one is in Rose Quartz and Seashell. So you're layering them, or you can use them on their own. Oh. It's very pretty. It reminds me of Oyster Girl Lip Glass by MAC. Very, very pretty. And I thought I would see a whole lot more sparkle, but I don't. It's just that iridescence to it. It's not a whole lot of sparkle. At least on top of this lipstick it is. So very, very pretty. And I love me some Oyster Girl. And I was out of Oyster Girl, so I found me kind of like a dupe. Okay, I'm going to use my favorite makeup mist. This is e.l.f. Guys, this stuff, between that primer, Becca, the Ordinary foundation, and this setting spray, my makeup did not move the other night. So I'm loving it. It's back to being my fave again. Alright guys, so this is your completed look. I'm going to get up close so you guys can see the eyes. Pardon my little edges. I tried to slick them down for you, but it's acting silly today. And I blended out my highlight a bit. The fan brush didn't give me that blended look, so I took the other brush. I actually used the brush I used to powder with, kind of wiped it off, and I used the tapered highlighter, the F35, and just blended it all out a little bit better. All right. So I hope you guys like my Renaissance palette look, and I hope that you guys will give me a thumbs up. Also, check out the description box. I always have some goodies down there, and I will talk to you guys in another video. Cyber kisses. Bye.